In today's episode, I'm going to explain you one of the most important concepts in chess that you should use in every game you play. In a nutshell, when you are facing a critical position where you need to develop a plan, decide to attack or not to attack, to exchange a piece or not to exchange, you need to determine if the position requires you to play statically, which in simple words mean slowly improve your position and use your long-term advantages, or the position requires you to play dynamically, which means attempting to change the position through the means of developing initiative or exchanging pieces and pawn structure. A lot of people don't understand that one will play dynamically only until they acquire long-term advantages, like they win material, and then they will switch to slower, calmer, and preventative play. So how does one know which style they should play in a given position? The most brilliant question to ask yourself is who can improve their position better independently of opponent's position, meaning without clashing with the opponent's army, exchanging pieces, etc. Let's try using this approach in a critical position in front of us. White here is trying to decide if they should play slowly and just make developing moves, like for example rook c1, queen c2, rook d1, or they're required to go for dynamic play. They ask themselves who can improve their position more with static play. For example, what can black do to improve their position without clashing with our army? So for now we're going to be making moves only for black, and I'll be just wasting time moving the rook back and forth so that we would emphasize that evolution of the black's position. They could play c5. They could perhaps move the knight to an outpost on d4. Maybe this bishop could go to e6, defending the weak square c4, d5, in case white knight ever wants to go there. Now we have a bad bishop. Let's figure out what we could do with that. Maybe we could change the structure into g6, h5, so that we could play bishop to h6. Maybe they could put the rook on semi-open file and play a move like queen d7. So they could improve the position of theirs into such without the need of changing the pawn structure by executing pawn breaks like f5 or d5, without exchanging anything, and black's position looks really awesome, at least to me. Now, how can white improve their position? Perhaps we could place the rook on c1, queen on c2, rook on d1. We could maybe there move the knight to c4. But it's clear that it's not going to be better than black's position. I'm not saying black is much better, maybe the position would be equal, but white is not better statically. That means white is required to play dynamically. They need to clash with opponent's army and try to take away the long-term advantages that black may hold. So now white is thinking completely differently. The move that gives white good chances is the move d4. After d4, we're clashing with opponent's army. We're trying to change the pawn structure, where we're going to have both c and d files opened. There is a lot of pressure on e5, so black is required to play. And now in this position, white is ready for a static play. We're simply going to target the two weak pawns over here with everything we have, and black will have a very hard time defending them. For example, if I play rook c1, queen c2, rook d1, simply attacking the two weak pawns. I could play bishop a3. If they ever play c5, I could play knight b5. No matter what you do, you will have one of those pawns being weak. And so from now on, white will enjoy playing statically, and black is required to play dynamically. So that is the beauty of successful dynamic moves. It's not like we achieve a dynamic move and from now on for the rest of the game for 20-30 moves we'll develop initiative with every move. No. If it's successful, you get what you wanted, which is you get a statically better position. Now we have weaknesses to play on. And you say that's enough until your opponent plays a successful dynamic move of his own. If you're enjoying the video, considering hiring me as your personal online chess coach. My contacts are on the right. And for now, let's take a look at another example where we're going to use similar strategy. In this position, it's black to play. Let's consider if we should play statically or dynamically. Kings are on opposite sides of the board, so attacking each other's king would be the main plan with queens on the board, because the center currently seems to be closed and not much black can do over there. White is threatening g4, g5 with a very easy attack, after which they will play moves like g6 and our king will already be open. Rook could go to g1 there. And on the queen side, if you look at the white king, even though the pawn structure is damaged, once the king, for example, reaches a2, in reality, their shelter is rock solid. At least it looks like that to me. And we don't have an easy way to attack the white's king. They go just g4, g5, and you as black have really a lot of difficulties to find something like this. You could maybe play a move like bishop b4, of course, but white will play bishop d4, and I think you will find very hard time to imagine how can you land a check on this king or opening up its surroundings. What does that mean? That means that black should look for dynamic play. And in fact, bishop b4 would be one of the dynamic moves, because we're threatening and we're not allowing white to simply go g4 and g5. But once we know we have to play dynamically, something changes in our thinking, because now we're no longer thinking about slow moves like rook e8 and queen c7. And so bishop b4 would be one alright move, but there is even a better move that comes to our mind, and that's rook takes c3. Better in my opinion because of practical reasons, maybe not because of objectively being the best according to the computer. So we could sacrifice the exchange on c3, and there are many ways how we could follow it up. One of the moves, we could try now b5 in order to try opening up the white's king. For example, b5, they take a4, and we're just trying to open up the files that we could use for the hunt of the white's king. But I like, from practical point of view, the move queen d6. It's much simpler to me. And I'm threatening to go queen e3 with already checks. I will go b5 with the same ideas of takes and play 4 to open up the white's king. Rook to c8. And now you wouldn't be able to tell that black's king is weaker than white's. So king safety is the only element that is more important than material. Therefore, we can sacrifice the material while we make opponent's king weak. So the dynamic play here allowed us to enter a position where now we could play slow moves again. By slow, I mean still, of course, attacking moves. But I think black's attack is faster than g4, g5. Hope you can implement this successfully into your game. I think all the grandmasters in the world are aware of the statics versus dynamics. It's very modern chess theory. Wish you many victories. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.